All right, everyone who is speaking, you can unmute yourself, please.
I'm unmuted.
Okay. We ready?
Laura.
Yeah. All right. Go. All right. Welcome to our start call number 31, which is crazy to say. So through a show of hands, who that's on this call right now has been on calls before? Okay, so quite a few. So this amazing woman who's speaking tonight actually encouraged us to get the start call going. And since then, now we've been doing it for 31 weeks. She has helped transform, thank you, Nicola. She helped transform lives through their health. So by using the products, through their financial aspects, so by building businesses. And she's actually a huge role model to me, as well as I would say 99% of the people on this call, all the people who know her. So rather than me taking up her time, because every minute we have with Nicola is very valuable, I'm going to turn it over to her and let you take over.
Woohoo! Well, Nicola, first of all, I would just like to say thank you so much for lighting the spark under our butt to do this call in the first place. It has been the most amazing, most fun way to grow, especially. But for those of you who don't know Nicola, she is a dear friend of mine, a total inspiration. And I know Nicola isn't big on titles or anything, but she is an Isagenix millionaire. But what that means to me is like, yeah, she makes a lot of money, but the way that she has made a lot of money is by impacting a lot of lives. Just like Laura said, through the health products and through the business side and financially freeing people, to me, it's the most powerful thing you could help someone with. So thank you for all you do, Nicola, and thank you for being on our call. And my first question I had for you was, could you kind of share how Isagenix came into your life? And with that, kind of sharing, I just shared that you've shared this with thousands of people and you've been really successful with this, but I know you were really successful before Isagenix. So kind of why Isagenix? Why you went with Isagenix?
Can you guys hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I have sometimes unstable internet, so if you can't hear me, just give me a thumbs down or something. Laura, it was nice to have you do a little introduction. I always love seeing you. And thanks, Allie. I see Allie all the time. I call her my little sunshine. You don't know that, Allie, but that's how I think of you. Yep. So it's a great question because, I mean, most of you know my story, but I always go a little, it seems like every time I tell it to people on our team, and Kristen Wilson, just bear with us here, I always go a little bit deeper into it because I kind of remember things now that I've been on this path for 8 years. But when you ask about how did it all started, it's one of those things. It was one of the most unlikely things to really happen to me to get involved with network marketing. That's what I thought. But obviously the universe or the way, the stars aligned for me. Now that I look back, this is exactly what I was supposed to be doing. But I had no idea. I had no understanding of what network marketing was, and what I thought it was so far off target that if anything, it hurt me for 6 months at least, because I was just so shut to the whole Isagenix thing. And the interesting thing around that is when I was introduced to Isagenix, I was not introduced to Isagenix to build a business. My client who introduced me, who was also a friend, she was really trying to help me by sharing these amazing products with me. And I was not open to it at all. So that being said, it took me about 6 months to try the products. And when I finally decided to order Isagenix, it was really, and this is really the honest truth, to get her off my back. I was like, if I don't order Isagenix, I'm going to lose her as a client, and I am probably going to lose her as a friend, which, I mean, right there, that is so ass-backward thinking, right? But that's where my thinking was back then. So that's kind of how it all started for me. Financially, I was not looking for an opportunity. I was not considering network marketing as a reliable source of income. I mean, for me, it's what I thought back then that super annoying people do. Everybody I knew in network marketing, and I knew a lot of people in network marketing, were either dead broke, well, generally a combination of dead broke and annoying. And they were always jumping from company to company to company. So like every 3 to 4 months, the same person will call me up, and 1 minute they were with this company, hey Jay, and then they were with that company. And that was my perception of what network marketing was. And, it didn't take me very long. It was in my first year of building an Isagenix business that I realized, you know what? It's not that at all. It's really, there's a lot of annoying people in a lot of different industries. I mean, I know annoying real estate agents. I know annoying attorneys. I know annoying car salesmen. I know annoying bankers. And I still, to this day, know a ton of annoying network marketers. I know annoying network marketers in Isagenix. And what I have learned is if you're annoying in whatever it is that you do, you probably don't like what you do. That's probably the first thing. And the second thing is you haven't done enough personal development to really understand who you are and get clarity around who you are, so you can actually do this from a place, that is a deeper place, like from your gut, that provides a lot of clarity of why you would be doing really anything, any career that you choose. So for me, that was a really, really big clue. And I became very open to paying attention to how many people are in the world that really don't like what it is they do. I know network marketers that don't like what it is they do. And I think it's because they haven't really thought through deep enough why it is that they do it. They're excited about the money, or they're excited about some companies give fancy cars and, whatever the carrot that's being dangled. And I don't think there's anything wrong with going after the abundance and the wealth that Isagenix or any network marketing company has to offer. But if you're not crystal clear and have clear intention of why you're doing it, you're probably gonna suck. Sooner or later, you're gonna, flatten out. Your business is not gonna keep growing. And that has kind of been it in a nutshell for me, Allie. It's like became this very quickly, this understanding of like, wow, this really requires for me to really understand what I am all about. And I have a sales background and I have a marketing background. And I remember this very clearly in my first 30 days of kind of trying to build an Isagenix business. This is not a sales business, at least not typical corporate quota sales. And I had to really bank my sales background, basically put it in the closet, and those skills I had to kind of erase from my mind because they will backfire in this business. And I also have a teaching background. I've taught in lots of different sports disciplines, and I learned very quickly, this is completely an education business. First, educating yourself, right? Because we're all so guilty of saying things and having opinions where it's just something that we've heard somewhere, and now it's become an opinion, and now we think it's truth. And I had to learn really, really quickly. I have to constantly evaluate what it is I'm thinking, what it is that I'm saying, so I can be more in alignment with what really is happening, for myself, and what is really the truth around network marketing. So that being said, to answer the second part of your question, now that I look back, even though I had a successful business, I owned an apparel company, and I was a sales and marketing director for a European apparel business, the emotional paycheck of what I was doing was very, very low. And so for me, that was a really interesting learning curve, because I was brought up very simply. My parents didn't have a lot of money, and early on in my life, I made a decision. I'm going to have money. I'm not going to struggle like I watched my parents struggle. I grew up in a family that struggled financially, and I made a decision very early on that I wasn't going to struggle. But I never really thought about, well, when I have financial security, I thought that also means I'm going to be happy. And then I realized in my other career, I'm making really good money. I have a great life, but I was not happy. And now that I look back, I think subconscious, because I am such a believer, everything happens for a reason. Now that I look back, I totally manifested network marketing, especially nutritional network marketing, into my life. I know I have a lot of friends that are in other companies and they love what they do. I myself can't get excited about them. I can't get excited about, I use doTERRA, I can't get excited about essential oils. I can't get excited about skincare. I can't get excited about clothes, but I can get excited about a product that will really require for a person to change their behavior. So what I love about Isagenix, above and beyond that the products are great, it requires for people to show up. And I'm not talking about the business. If you want to take your health to the next level, and I think everybody has a responsibility to be proactive when it comes to their health. And I'm not talking about weight loss or anything like that, but people should take responsibility for their health. And this is one of the things I love about Isagenix, because it's not blue pill in the morning and red pill at night and I'm going to have this great body, I'm going to be healthy. No, you have to look at your shit and you have to make changes every day. And this is really why I decided to jump in with both feet and build a network marketing business with Isagenix, because I love that in order to do this product, and then if you personally involves into the business, you have to grow. You have to be better today than you were yesterday. And that motivates me like nothing else. Helping people understand that they can do better. Helping people to understand that they can feel better. And helping people that doing better and feeling better, it's probably not hard, but we make it hard. So Isagenix kind of facilitates that. It's like you always have to kind of show up. So that's a really long-winded answer, Allie, but it's a very complex question that you asked me,
It was. I love that. I love that you touched on clarity around what you do and why you do it. And I love, I really like how you stated about the behavior, that you're helping people improve their behavior and changing, their life in some way. And that's a really cool way to look at it. The next thing I wanted to go into, which goes into this quite well, is about vision. Because I know you always talk about vision and that it's really important. And I was wondering if you could share with us, what are the critical, so like I'm sure there's people here, how many of us have a vision of what we want to accomplish or something we want to do? Yeah, a lot of us. And the people that aren't showing their faces, I'm sure they do too. But so with vision, I was wondering if you could share, what are like the critical components that you would consider really important for creating a vision?
It's an interesting question, because what vision means to me might be very different than what vision means to you, right? So if I were to have a one-on-one conversation with someone about vision, I would have that conversation by asking lots of questions to better understand what that person, let's say you, means by a vision. Some people think of a vision as a goal. Some people think a vision is bigger than a goal. For me personally, when I first started with Isagenix, I'll just kind of explain my evolution around a vision. I didn't have a big vision. I had a goal to get my products paid for. That was my goal. I was like, you know what? We're eating a lot of Isagenix. Jimmy was eating a lot of Isagenix. And I was like, if we can get our products paid for, that would be awesome. That was the extent of my vision. And when people were talking about, you have to save the orphanage and all this stuff, I didn't connect to it at all. And then it just is, as I grew as a person and as I understood better of who I am deep down inside, then that vision kind of expanded. But I think vision needs to start out with you really, with a person really understanding what is that feeling, or what is that thing that kind of creates some energy within you. Because a lot of people will write down big visions, but when I read them, or when they read them themselves, they don't really inspire any kind of emotion. You know, so you have to kind of have some sort of an emotion, a gut emotion connected to whatever it is that you want to envision for yourself. And some people are very good. They have very grandiose, very big visions, and they can connect to them really well. My experience is when I coach a lot of people, and you guys can tell me if you struggle with this, people have a hard time really coming up with a vision for themselves, and they have generally a hard time connecting to it. That's been my experience. Anybody can relate to that? So one of the visions that I have, and Kyle in the Crash, who was on our call last night for the action plan, he's a very dear friend of mine. Him and I always talk back and forth, and I can so connect to that for our team and our community, and, you know, especially also the START community within our team, is this whole thing that freedom lifestyle is not a luxury. Freedom lifestyle should not be a luxury. But yet, for a lot of people, they think it is, right? It should be your birthright. It should be your birthright. So when I talk to people about a vision, I try to really understand what is that one thing, especially new people right now, that's causing you a lot of pain. You know, when I mean pain, I mean stress. And a lot of people that I talk to have financial stress. They might have a great, you know, on the outside, everything looks great. They have a nice house, they have a nice car, blah, blah, blah. But they are struggling financially. And if they're not struggling financially, that's the big component that causes stress in their family. So when I think of freedom lifestyle, I think of that is not freedom lifestyle. If you go into bed at night worrying about money, that is not freedom lifestyle. If you're waking up in the morning worried about money, that is also not freedom lifestyle. So I generally will direct people, when I help them with their vision, to, you know, what is that number, that financial number that will help you not have to spend so much energy worrying about your finances. Because the amount of energy people worry about their finances is a massive, massive problem. Because if you don't have to worry about your finances, just imagine how that frees up your internal power, your ability to help other people, your focus, your, you know, ability to pay it forward. So for me, when I talk about vision, you know, my vision now is very, very different than when I first started. But I have a vision, a very clear vision for our team. I have a very, very clear vision for my relationship and, you know, my overall life. And I have a very clear vision still for my business. And they're all very much connected. But when I work with people within Isagenix, I try to help them break it down to that place where they can free up energy. Mm-hmm. So this question alone, Allie, could be a whole training. You know, it could be a whole one-day training. And honestly, right now, that's probably what I do the most. I help people really understand, you know, what it is that needs to shift. Because people say, well, I want to make an extra $2,000 a month. I want to make an extra $5,000 a month. I want to make an extra $10,000. Well, why? Why do you want to make it? You have to understand why you want to make it. You have to understand what will that change for you. So the question has to go deeper than that. Mm-hmm. And I think vision becomes bigger when energy is stopped being wasted. You know, when we're in fear and when we are worried about survival, right? The ego kicks in and we're worried about survival, like an animal that's worried in nature about survival. You are not really functioning at your best. So what I try to help people, especially early on, is how can we figure out a way to get you out of survival functioning? Because all the people that I meet, you guys have, I look at some of you on here, you have so much potential. And what generally stands in the way of you getting to where you really want to go is because your energy isn't flowing, because somewhere there's a kink in your hose. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. And I really like how you explained that you have a vision for the team, for your relationships, for business. And like you said, it all connects, but you can have individual visions that you can also focus on. I think that's super helpful for a lot of people. My next question is about mindset. So like once you have a vision set in place, you obviously have to have, you know, a congruent mindset, a mindset that is going to help you in working toward that vision. I was wondering, like, could you share why mindset is so critical to success and to achieving goals?
I think mindset is probably one of the most important things that we can work on. In my mind, it is the most important thing a person can work on. I mean, I am a very firm believer that what we think about, we bring about. And everything that is in my life right now, if I were to take a screenshot of my life right now, it's because my mindset, my behavior, my actions created it. And I learned early on, because I've had areas in my life or times in my life where I was pretty darn miserable. And I had to stop and take responsibility for it. It is the way it is because of the choices I made. And if I wanted my life to change, I had to change my mindset. And, you know, I see this a lot. Like, people want to have a certain life. They want to have certain abundance. They want to have certain people in their life. They want to have certain joys in their life. And they kind of know what they want, but they themselves are not changing. And if you want to change, you have to become a master at catching your own thinking. So if I'm thinking about, you know, I want to create abundance for myself, but all day long I'm thinking about how poor I am, and, you know, I'm never going to get to 1 star. I'm never going to get to director. I'm never going to get to executive. Your mindset is now no longer in alignment with your goal. And you're right. You're not gonna get there, because what you think about, you bring about. Mm-hmm. And this is probably, I think, a human disease, because we generally think about the things we don't want. And so we create more of what we don't want. You know, if you have lack of funds and then you worry all day about lack of funds, well, you're going to have lack of funds probably for the rest of your life, right? And then when you can change your mindset and you can catch yourself, then you have to start changing your behavior. So I used to be a financial nightmare. You know, I would make $20,000 a year. I would spend $22,000 a year. Then I made $50,000 a year and I would spend $60,000 a year. And then I made $100,000 a year and I would spend $120,000 a year. And then I had to change my mindset. I had to realize, oh, it's not about making more money. It's about how I treated what was showing up. And then I had to really understand, I not only have to change my mindset, I also have to change my behavior. So mindset and behavior and action is a very, very much linked together. So my advice is around mindset is monitor what you're telling yourself. You know, really most of your energy should go into not believing what it is you're thinking. Most of the stuff that we think, I would say 70% of the stuff we think is not serving us. And it's probably far from what is reality or what is truth. But it's just the garbage that has been programmed into our brains. Think of it like this, guys. Like, you have a computer and there's programming, software that runs on this computer, right? And then you have the hard drive of the computer. So you are the hard drive. Like, your soul, your energy is the hard drive of the computer. But we have software running on our hard drive that probably is faulty in some ways, because that software helped you at a certain stage in your life and it got you to right now to where you are. But if you want a different life tomorrow, a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, you have to change your software. Because the same software, you can grind it out, you can work harder, you can make more calls, you can make more connections, you still have the same flipping software. So this is mindset. Mindset is the software, and what you think is not who you are. What you think is just programming. So if you want to change your life, change your flippin' thinking. So I used to say to Carrie on somebody who I've worked with a lot, it's like, when you want to use pepper, use salt. So when something in your mind tells you, I don't want to do that, do it. And the things that you want to do, stop doing those. Probably 80% of the time, if you live by that rule at the beginning of getting into this journey, you are going to have a breakthrough. You can't trust your own programming, early on, especially when you're early on in deep personal development. That's why mentorship is so important, and modeling. and find a person that you respect and that you you don't have to even like them, but you respect them and you trust their integrity, and then, you know, start modeling that. But mindset, guys, you have to work on it all day long. You should, by the end of the day, if you start doing really serious mindset work, you should be going to bed exhausted, because you're recorrecting your thinking all the time. And before you know it, you start talking and you're like, oh my God, I don't even recognize this person. I mean, I look at you, Allie. When I first met you, you were a wreck. I mean, the shit that you said and who you were was not in alignment. Right? And I look at you now and you are starting to be who you meant to be. And you're digging deep and you're starting to see things you were like, wow, I can't believe I did that. And you unravel and you understand that's part of the journey. And now you are like a different person. You are who you are meant to be. And you're just scratching the surface of your potential. I mean, you're going to, whatever you choose to do, you're going to blow it up if you stay on this path. But always watch your thinking. Are you in judgment? Are you, in arrogance? Are you, responding to something in a negative way? Are you having a hard time being happy for other people? Are you, easily hurt? Do you really think people walk around all day intentionally trying to hurt your feeling? That's a massive ego talking right there. People don't walk around trying to hurt your feelings. People just do dumb shit. Don't take it personal. But how you respond to other people is massive, especially in this business. And if you want to have a big team and you want to have a lot of people underneath you, you have to learn quickly. You don't matter. You really don't matter. It's about everybody else. So if you have to learn quickly to give yourself confidence and significance and love, you have to really figure out a way to love yourself. If you're in judgment of yourself all the time, or if you're always finding bad things that you don't like about yourself, start there. Start there. You have to really love who you are and come from that place. And that's the easiest way to shift.
I love it. Something that came to mind when you were talking about that was, and this quote stood out to me from the very beginning. I think you said it the first time I ever went over to your house. You're like, sometimes you just got to get out of your own way. And yeah. And I really didn't even know what you meant at that time because I was in a different place. But I totally get it now. And that's one of the, things I work on the most. And I think that's something all of us could be working on all the time.
Yeah. And just, guys, stay open to not knowing. Stay open to not knowing. It's the most beautiful thing not to know, because now you've just made room in your hard drive to learn something new. I used to be such a flipping know-it-all. I think about it and I just want to throw up, And I'm so glad I was able to move on from that, because, I had to live with that. I was like annoying.
Well, it looks like we got 7:01. But thank you so much, Nicola. This was amazing. And I hope all of you got some good nuggets out of it. I know I did. I was taking notes while you were talking, but while I was asking questions.
Well, I hope it was helpful. I've been thinking about the START team a lot, and I have some ideas. We should maybe talk sometimes, for those of you that are really running with this. Mm-hmm. And I'd be more than happy I would love to share, but I think you guys have done such a great job with this. And don't for 1 minute question that. Take in the credit and be proud and know that you guys are doing some really great things. Don't worry about how it's going to unfold, how it's going to, all show up. Just keep doing what it is you're doing, and just get creative around, what it is that you're bringing in and things that you're kind of developing. But I think it's really, really important, especially for the younger generation. I keep thinking about Carl yesterday. Whole freedom lifestyle is not a luxury. And I think there's too many people, young people out there struggling and being pushed into a mold and being, stifled at the knee. And that is not okay, right? That is not okay. And whether they do Isagenix or whether they do something else and just use the products, it's all good. But I think this message that you guys are putting out there, the world needs to hear it. So just get creative on finding more ways to put it out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicola.
Thanks, everybody.
You're the best ever. Have a good night, everyone, and we will be back same time next week.
Thanks, you guys. Thank
you, Nicola.
I appreciate you all so much.
And we're meeting at
Bye.
9:05.
talk about next. All right. Bye, guys.
Now.
Bye.